is up, Carmination? Welcome into NBA DFS Live for Thursday, March 5th. I'm your host, Ben Hosser, joined by Justin Bales. Bales, we have a small slate today, only 4 games, so it's actually kind of straightforward in terms of DFS plays. Before we get into it, I do want to remind everyone to check out all of the content at dfskarma.com. And a reminder, when is Selection Sunday, Bales? What is that, next, like a week from this Sunday?
Yeah.
Yeah, so coming up, Bales is really good at college basketball, and then our team, just with DFS Karma, is really good. So be sure to check out the March Madness package. You can get it early bird pricing right now. $29.99 gets you betting picks, DFS plays, prize picks plays, and brackets as well. So be sure to go check that out. I know last year, Bales and I talked about the brackets a lot before we submitted them on Thursday, and I ended up winning my bracket group just by picking Bale's brain. So it definitely pays off to purchase that package. And you obviously want to get it at the cheapest price that you can with that coming up. Bales and I actually, we were just talking about college basketball before we got on here, so I'm getting ready, man.
We were.
I'm looking to go back to back in the bracket pool, so I'm excited. But all right, we'll get into the slate. For injuries, normally I'm on here talking for 20 minutes about all the injuries. There really isn't today. So we have the Raptors situation, which is Ibaka, Van Vliet, and Gasol all questionable. And then we have Devontae Graham questionable. That's really like the two main spots for this slate. So that's good that we're not going to have to we're not going to have to change our thoughts over and over throughout the day. We're just going to have to basically wait for the Raptors news, and then you can just go from there. So not that bad with injuries today. Bales, I'll let you go ahead. We'll get into the position plays. I'll let you start at point guard here.
All right. I mean, you have James Harden and Westbrook, both point guard eligible. Feel free to play either. I know Ben probably isn't on them because they're too expensive, just because there's someone else he likes. You're going to have to wait till later on the stream to find that out. But I'm fine with either of them. If Graham is playing, I think Graham is a great play as long as he's seeing full minutes. If he's out, Terry Rozier makes a solid option. Even if Graham's starting, though, you can play Rozier. He's just going to be locked into big minutes with Malik Monk suspended, so not a big issue there. And then Jamal Murray is a fine play. I mean, he's a bit expensive, but he does come with quite a bit of upside, and he's going to be locked into the minutes. Outside of that, man, I don't know. Shake Milton is too cheap on FanDuel, I'm pretty sure. So feel free to use him there. That's about all I'm looking at for point guard, though.
Okay, so I think there's a couple things to go over at this position. One, what is your take on Steph Curry today?
No way they play him full minutes, right?
Yeah, so I agree with that. But like, what are full minutes? I would assume he probably gets what, like upper 20s?
Honestly, I'm not sure. I could see him playing like 25. Like, why are they trying to win?
Yeah, I don't think they're trying to win, but I mean, even if he plays, like they're just so bad anyways. I don't really think it matters. But I don't think you're gonna play Curry in cash. But I think I'd be interested. 8K in tournaments. I think you could maybe look at him on a 4 game slate. Just because he's gonna do everything when he's on the floor, but not a cash game option. Harden and Russ are definitely the top two options. So how I'm playing this is, we have like a pretty big sample of Kawhi guarding Harden when he's played the Rockets. I'm just going to assume that he's going to guard Harden tonight. So I think if Harden's going to be higher owned than Russ, I mentioned to you before we got on here that if you look at their rates over the last like 2 or 3 weeks, like they're actually much closer to the same than they have been for the majority of the season. So I think if I was going to play one of them, I would just take the $700 savings and play Westbrook on DraftKings. Um, Not to say that Harden's a bad play, but I just think I would rather play Russ if he's going to be lower owned.
I don't mind that. No problems at all.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that's the top two.
Harden has dominated the Clippers this year, though, hasn't he?
Yeah. I mean, that's like, people overrate defensive matchups, I feel like, in the NBA, especially because the way the NBA is today, like, it's really positionless, right? Like, I mean, with the pick and roll and stuff, it's just so easy to get whatever you want. So I think people overrate defensive matchups, but I mean, it is enough for me to just like consider it because like if they're putting up similar numbers and one's 700 cheaper and going to be lower owned, I think I would just rather take that one. But I mean, Harden could easily have 60 real points tonight, and I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But I agree. So outside of them, Rozier, I think if Graham is out, you can definitely go back to him. Um, you can fade him in tournaments if you want, but for cash, you probably would want to start with him if Graham's out. I don't mind Jamal Murray at his price on the other side of that game. Rozier, obviously, like talking about defensive matchups, like he gets a good one. Jamal Murray's not a good defender, so that's a little bit of a positive. Shake Milton, I think, is fine in tournaments. On DK, FanDuel, he's more like cash playable because he's cheaper. But DK, where they price him above 6K, I think it's more GPPs. And then I would throw Lowry in if like we get the perfect storm of all three of those Raptors guys being out. But that about does it for me. So shooting guard, I mean, it's a lot of the same guys, right? Harden, Rozier, Murray are all point guard, shooting guard. Van Vliet, if he's in, I like. You would assume that he guards Curry because he did that in the playoffs last year. So he's gonna be on the floor. So I like him if he's active. And then really like for tournaments, I think you could look at like either Burks or Korkmaz. So I played Burks on Tuesday, and it's not even that he let me down. It's just like they didn't play him. Like Brett Brown, I don't understand the point of trading for Burks and then like not using him when you have like no, like you have three of your main players out. You traded for this guy. Why are you not using him? I don't understand that. But I also had a dream last night, Bales. I specifically remember in my dream, I said how I played Alec Burks. I was looking at a box score, and I was like, look at Alec Burks. I played him. He did nothing, and then the next game, of course, he goes off. So now I feel like
Have to use them.
I feel
Have
inclined
to.
to use him in tournaments at least. And then if Graham's out, I think we can go back to Cody Martin. But also, I feel like he overperformed a little bit, and he was like kind of owned on Tuesday. So I don't really know if I want to chase that.
Yeah, I agree. I'll add in Damian Lee. I know Curry's back, but Lee shouldn't really see his minutes go. Bogdanovich has been fine if you want to use him in tournaments. Hield's a little expensive for only playing 25 minutes a game, so I don't really want to go there. But Bogdanovich is a bit cheaper, and he's playing more minutes. And then if you want to go super cheap, Eric Gordon at 3,800. He's kind of lost some minutes to House, but I mean, he's only 3,800, and he does come with some upside. So feel free to go there, I guess.
Yeah, I mean the player pool is going to be condensed today because we only have 4 games, and it's just weird to me because most of the guys we like at point guard are shooting guard as well in DK. So I think you can just mainly look at the same group of guys. For small forward, I think it's like the clear big three of Tobias Harris, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George. Um, Outside of those three, I like Glenn Robinson if he's starting, but the problem with that is the game's at 10. I don't know if we're going to know the Sixers lineup before lock. So this might be something for DK you have to sit around and wait on, and then you can use your late swap to your advantage, but I do like him if he's starting. I like Bridges if Graham's out, but really that's like the 5 guys I'm looking at shoot at small forward. So I think you're kind of just ranking Kawhi, Paul George, Tobias, honestly.
Yeah, I pretty much agree. I think in tournaments you can go Daniel House. He's only 4K, and he's probably going to play slightly under 30 minutes. So I have no real issues there. I agree with what you said about Glenn Robinson. Besides that, though, this position kind of sucks. If you want to take a shot on like Harrison Barnes just for minutes, I guess feel free. But it seems like Harris, Leonard, and George are like so much better plays than everyone else that you don't really need to go off of any of them.
Yeah, the problem for me with Kawhi is he's 93, so I can't see playing him over someone else that we'll talk about later, and then I can't really see playing him over like Russ either. So I guess the conversation, what would you do between Tobias and Paul George?
Cash, I would probably go to Tobias Harris.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I,
I think
I,
cash, it's
it's
Tobias. Tournaments, you can use PG. I agree with
yeah.
that. Small forward. So this is where this slate is actually priced really well, I feel like, on DraftKings. But the one mispriced here is Mike Scott, who's under 4K. Um, Played big minutes in his last 2. If he's starting, I think you pretty much have to play him. But again, like we're probably not going to know this lineup. So this is a good situation where if you put Scott in your lineup on DraftKings and then news breaks like at 9:30 or whatever, he's not starting, you can like try and swap off him. So if you're gonna use him, try and get him like in your utility or something. So maybe you can swap to somebody else. That could be a big edge. I like Cody Zeller, even though the matchup is tough if he's starting again, because he's pretty cheap. And then I like Robert Covington a lot. So if I don't end up playing a lot of Rockets, I think Covington is where I could get my exposure to the Rockets. I mean, he's just fit really well into this team. I mean, he fits perfectly into their
He
playing
is.
style. And this game should be, competitive, and it's the highest over-under on the site. So I like Covington a lot. Uh, you could probably go
Yeah.
ahead. I think there's some other guys you could look at, like Horford. I can't pay 7K for Horford. Like, I would just play Covington, right?
Yeah, without question for me, Covington over Horford. I do think Paul Millsap at 4,600 is too cheap.
Yeah, I had him at center, but I agree with that.
Not for cash, but I mean his upside is undeniable at that price. Outside of that, if you want to take like a shot on Pascal Siakam, no one is going to play him because he's 9,100. Like he's just not a guy that's going to get a ton of ownership, I don't think. And he does get a matchup against Golden State, so that's completely fine there. PJ Washington and Harry Giles are both mid 5K. I don't really have any issues with either of them in tournaments. I think that's probably about what I'm doing. I mean, for me, it just seems like Mike Scott is the most obvious option here. So you're probably going to want to get him in. And then Covington at 67 is just, it's priced so well, especially for the type of game that you would anticipate against the Clippers. It just seems like he's kind of close to a lock for me.
Yeah, I would throw Siakam. I think is a great play if like all three of those Raptors are out, but we'll just have to wait and see on that. And he'll be low owned. Center, obviously Jokic at the top here. So this is the guy Bales and I both were alluding to. He's probably my top play on this slate. So he's 9,500, so he's cheaper than Russ and Harden. He doesn't have to share the floor with someone like Russ or Harden, so that's a bonus. And Charlotte has just been like one of the worst teams against big men. I mean, they are just horrible at defending big men. So even though they're on the road, Bales and I talk about liking Jokic at home a lot. I'm gonna, not worry about the place of this game tonight. I'm gonna be overweight on Jokic. I think he's my top play on the slate. I'm gonna lock him in, and hopefully he comes in kind of low owned because I think most people will just be riding like Russ or Harden because that game is so much more attractive. So I think you can get a little bit of leverage with ownership here. And then I have Millsap as well. I think he's fine as long as he's active, gets the same strong matchup, and he's cheap. PJ Tucker is going to be chalk. So as you can see, like you can kind of see how the slate's playing out, right? I think most people are going to put in. Most people might put in Russ and Harden, and then they're going to put in like Tucker. They're going to put in Mike Scott, right? They're going to put in some of these cheaper guys. So I think you kind of know where the majority of ownership is going to go. So just build differently in tournaments. That's why I want to play Jokic. I think Tucker's a fine play because the game is good and he can have those like off games where he just gets a lot of rebounds, blocks, and steals, and he has a big fantasy day. But I don't want to bet on him as chalk on a 4 game slate, right? So I'm probably going to be underweight on Tucker. Like I said, I like Zeller if he's starting. That could be someone you pivot to. And I know the price is way different, but I would rather just force in Covington than I would use Tucker, honestly. You can go ahead.
I agree. I don't really think there's anything that I need to say that you haven't. I mean, I guess if you want to take like a weird tournament shot, like a Vika Zubac, if they want to go like a little bit bigger, while he's on the floor, he should be able to do mostly anything. Like PJ Tucker's not going to be able to stop him. And if it's not Tucker, it's going to be Covington. So if you want to take a shot on like for a ton,
That Giles I would throw in for tournaments. If either like if Ibaka is active and Gasol's out, or if Gasol's active and Ibaka's out, I would put whichever one plays in. I think they would become a good play. The big one I think we need to watch here is Chris Boucher. So, I mean, everyone knows like I'm a big fan of his, like dating back to like the summer league and stuff. Like I'm a big fan of his, but the problem had been here when Ibaka and Gasol were both out. They were just starting Hollis Jefferson at center, and then Boucher would like check in and then just like never come back in. Right, like he wasn't getting minutes. Well, their last game they actually gave him minutes, and what did he do? He had a monster game, right? So if we got this situation where all those guys were out and then they said Boucher was going to start, then he would become like the top value play. There's literally no chance I would play Tucker over Boucher if Boucher was starting. Like you would just easily play Boucher. Someone asked about Hernan Gomez. I think in tournaments you could probably throw him in as a pivot off of Tucker, but I don't know. Like we just have to wait and see. Like I like Zeller if he's starting, so we'll just have to wait and see what they do with their lineup. They always do weird stuff. So
Joey just said 25 minutes for Curry.
yeah, I was just about to say that before we were talking about that, but yeah. So 25 minutes, like not playing him in cash. I mean, you're probably not playing him in tournaments either at 8K, but it's 4 games. I wouldn't mind just like getting. If you were playing a bunch of teams, like I would, put a little bit in, I guess. But yeah, I wish he was playing like 29. That would feel a little better about it.
Yeah, that would be much better. If he was playing like 29, feel free to use him in tournaments, but
Yeah.
25 is tough.
All right, that pretty much does it for this slate. If you guys haven't already, be sure to check out the DFS content package, dfscover.com. We've had a lot of success with that. Well, probably the best deal in DFS, honestly, $10 a month. And also, I saw that our MLB season pass. I mean, that is an amazing deal if you look at everything that includes. So head over to dfscover.com and check that out as well. Tomorrow's Friday, so I'm assuming we have a bigger slate. So I'll see you guys then.